Thought I'd make a Spanish omelette today, also known as a tortilla. Now the thing about a Spanish omelette, it's so simple to make, so quick, and it's so cheap as well. So you can't go wrong with that combination. Now I've already done a Spanish omelette quite a while ago. Thing is, I thought I'd do a little bit of an update because, you know, my previous video, I was using my old camera and the quality was a little bit low. So now I've got my new camera, I thought I'd update it. And also we're going to make this a little bit extra special because instead of just using potatoes, eggs and onions, which is a normal sort of basic Spanish omelette, I'm going to add some chorizo, which is Spanish sausage, and it just transforms it into a really delicious tortilla. So I'm just going to go through the ingredients, get on with the cooking. Oh, it'll be delicious. Now the first thing I want to do is just go through the ingredients we're going to use. Now first of all, I've got my potatoes there. I've got a sort of whole bunch of potatoes, and what I'm going to do is peel them up, cut them into little cubes, and we're just going to gently fry those and soften them down. Now the potatoes I'm going to use are Maris Piper. I use those for mashed potato or if I'm doing chunky chips, because what you want to use is potatoes that when you sort of gently fry them, they start to break down a little bit and become nice and soft. You don't really want to use things like new potatoes or white potatoes because, you know, they don't soften down very well. So the sort of ones you'd use for mashed potato are perfect. Then I've got my eggs. Now last time I made my tortilla, I did use less potatoes and I used less eggs. Last time I just used 2 eggs. This time I'm going to use 5 eggs and slightly more potatoes. Then I've got my onion. Now I'm going to use half a large onion. You know, just peel it and slice it in half and then chop it down nice and fine. That really sort of flavours up the whole tortilla. Then I've got some chorizo, that Spanish sausage. It's already cooked and it's just, you know, absolutely delicious. It's got sort of garlicky and paprika flavours. What I'm going to use is about 1/3 of the sort of horseshoe shape. Peel the skin back, chop it down nice and fine, and it just gives it a lovely meaty flavour. So there's all the ingredients. I'm going to peel the potatoes, again chop up the onion and just beat the eggs and get everything ready. You know, chop down the chorizo and start the cooking. Now just before I start preparing and chopping my potatoes, I thought I'd put them in the pan so you can see visually how many I'm going to use. Got my frying pan and I've put them all in there and they just about sort of lay, you know, comfortably in the bottom of the pan without stacking them up. So for me, that's the right amount. So I've got all my ingredients laid out and prepared. So we've got the potatoes, the onions and the chorizo. I've got my eggs and I've beaten that with a fork, add a little bit of salt just to season it up. Now I've got my frying pan, I'm going to switch it on a medium heat and I'm going to put some oil in there. Now you could use vegetable oil, sunflower oil, olive oil. Now the thing is, when you finish using this oil and we've cooked up this tortilla, we're not going to throw the oil away, so it's not a complete waste. You can keep that in a little bowl and use it for another day for making a tortilla, or maybe you're going to fry up some chips or something else. So we're going to put a fair amount of oil in the pan and switch it on to a medium heat. So first of all, I know some people are going to say, oh no, look at all that oil, but you really do need a fair amount of oil for making this. Now I'm going to switch that on. Now I would say, as a rough guide, there's like 1 centimetre's worth of oil, so you know, a sort of good amount really. Now I can feel the oil's just heated up enough that we can start putting in these potatoes, so be careful. I'm just going to try and get those in without dropping them. Now I did say this is going to kind of fill the pan. Now also, I'm going to put in the onion at the same time. And to be honest with you, I think I'm going to put the chorizo in there as well. Just get the whole lot in the pan. And we're going to give it a gentle move around and try and get everything coated. So I'm going to be a little bit careful. Because like I say, I'm really trying to kind of make a nice sized tortilla here. Just move it all around until everything's been coated. So I'll just leave that cooking away. As I say, we're doing it on about a medium heat at the moment. Now what you want to do is to soften up the potatoes, but you don't want to brown it. So you don't want it looking like chips. If it's starting to sort of brown a little bit, and turn it over now and again, just turn the heat down a little bit. So I'm going to keep it on a medium heat at the moment, And just now and again, keep turning it over, get everything coated, and we just want to soften that potato up. Now at the moment, I've been cooking for about 10 minutes. Now I've just tasted a tiny little bit of potato just to see if it was softening up. Now I'm going to add a little bit more salt to this just to make sure it's got a nice sort of bit of seasoning in it. And then I'm going to again start turning it over very gently just to make sure it's nice and evenly cooked. The potatoes, you know, just starting to soften down, but I will probably give it about another 5 minutes. So I'm probably going to cook this for about 15 minutes in all. But if you're not sure, just pull a bit of potato out, you know, get a fork and try it, and it should be really nice and soft. That's it. So I'm going to carry on cooking that for about another 5 minutes, and I'll probably just turn it over one more time. I'm just going to give it the very last turn around, because when it starts to soften down, you don't want to muck about with it too much. So just very gently turn it, and then I'll leave it for a couple of minutes more, and then we'll be at the 15-minute stage, and then it's going to be ready. Now once this is finished cooking, we'll just let it cool down a little bit, and then I'm going to tip all the oil out into a bowl and try and get as much oil out as possible. So just give that the final press down. I'll just leave that for another 2 minutes. Smelling absolutely delicious. Right, so I'm at 15 minutes. Let's just grab a little bit of that potato, and you see it's just sort of breaking up. Breaks up quite easy, it's nice and soft. That is perfect. So let me just try that. Really good. I'm going to switch it off the heat, let it cool down for a minute or so, and then I'm going to transfer all the oil into a separate pan, and we're going to set that aside. I'm going to turn that around. Now I'm just going to get a little bit of the oil out first, so you know, try and tip away some of that oil. That'll do. What a beautiful colour. And I'm just going to move the oil out of the way a minute, and I'm going to put this bowl here. Now again, I want to try and get the potato out but leave any last bits of oil behind, so just be careful doing it, and scoop the potato in. Like that. Do it slowly so that you leave any oil behind. I mean, obviously there's going to be a little bit of oil, but you know, it's got a nice flavour to it with that chorizo anyway. Nearly done, nearly done. There you go. And that last bit of oil, I just put it in that pan. And like I say, you know, with this, you can use this another day for making another Spanish omelette, or you can fry up and make some chips with that. It's going to be delicious with that chorizo flavour. So there we are. I've got all the potato, and you can see it's not sort of swimming in oil. It's quite a dry mixture really. Now let this cool down a little bit more, and then we can start to put the egg in there as well. So now the potatoes cool down a little bit. Let's just tip that egg in there really. Give that a stir around and get everything mixed up. I'm just going to use my wooden spoon I was using. Be gentle, because obviously again the potato is fairly soft, so you don't want to sort of break it up too much. But equally, try and get it all coated with the egg. Now this is really going to fill the pan. It's going to be a lovely tortilla. It's going to have a good shape to it. There you go, that's ready to go. Now I'm going to switch the pan on again. Now this time, we don't want the heat too high. You can do it on a fairly low heat really. So let's turn that down a bit. Now you notice there's hardly any oil in this pan. You don't need very much. Certainly not like when we were frying the potatoes. You just need a little bit, really, just to sort of make sure it doesn't stick. Now incidentally, when you're making your tortilla, try and make sure you use a non-stick frying pan because it's the best frying pan. Some other frying pans, you get all this lovely looking tortilla, and when you try and slide it out the pan, it all sort of breaks and falls apart. I know a few people have had that problem, so try and use a non-stick pan. So this is just about warmed up, so I'm going to tip it all in. So here we go. Now, just try and be quick, sort of work it all the way round, squash it down as you go. And like I say, we're doing this on a fairly low heat. Let's just check that, beautiful. It's looking good. Now I want to try and neaten up the edge. So just go around the edge and make sure it's all pushed down nicely. Flatten the top out a little bit. This is going to be a nice tortilla. Now I'm going to go and get myself a nice big plate, one that's bigger than the pan, because in a moment we're actually going to flip the tortilla over. Vuelta la tortilla. Now just to give you an idea, I've been cooking on this side for around about 5 minutes. As I say, nice low heat. So let's flip it over. Now to flip mine over, got a plate bigger than the actual pan. Make sure you don't burn yourself. Now get your hand like that and lift up the pan and then just flip it like this. Look at that. Just show you that. That looks beautiful. And then just very carefully let it slip back into the pan. Now I'm just going to squash it back in because it is quite full up, this pan. Then I'm going to go around the edges just to get the shape. I find a wooden spoon good for this. And what I try and do is get a little bump here so it, you know, it gives it a beautiful shape. So just go all the way round and pushing it into the middle of the pan a little bit. Looking good. There you go. That looks delicious. Again, nice low heat, and just really want the egg to just about set. Some people like the egg just a little bit soft, but I like mine tend to be just about set really. So I would say roughly, again, about another 5 minutes or so on this side, but on a low heat. Again, doesn't hurt just to go around one more time. Beautiful. Look at that. Solid potato, chorizo, egg and onion. It's so nice and cheap to make this. And every time I eat one of these, I just love it. So I reckon we just about finished now. So 5 minutes on one side, then we flip the tortilla over. And I've given it about 5 minutes on this side. So I'm going to turn the heat off. Now I shouldn't really put a plate here because it's hot, but it's in front of the camera. And I'm just going to show you really carefully. Get that out the pan. That is delicious, absolutely delicious. Let's put that on the table and serve a piece up. Just cut it like a little cake really. If I just lift that up, look at that, beautiful. Nice solid potato, and it's all just set nicely, so you can't go wrong with that. I'm going to put it on a plate and get myself a little bit of bread. Got a bit of French stick there. Yeah. Just cut this open. Look at that. That is going to be delicious. Just going to try a little bit of that. Gorgeous. So nice. And you've got that flavour of the chorizo. Oh, I love chorizo. And it's so good in a Spanish omelette. Oh. Just going to have one more big bite of that. Oh. This is my favourite omelette. It's so nice. I recommend it with a chorizo in there. I'll leave the plate there. Anybody wants to help themselves, tuck in. Thanks for watching my videos. Right to the end, as always. And if you like what I do, please subscribe, rate my videos. I really look out for that and appreciate it. Thanks again, the original Naked Chef.